Howdy folks, and welcome to another Taste of Gameplay video, this time for the German premium Tier 8 cruiser, the Mainz. Have you ever wanted to HE spam from behind islands at range, but you wanted just a touch more armor than your average light cruiser? Well, have I got the ship for you. A quick note about the naming, by the way. I'm sure 99.9% of you know this, but the B variant of ships is exactly the same as the regular variant. It's just a copy of the ship with this black camo applied, which you can take off, by the way. I did not actually realize that until fairly recently. Call me dumb, but I didn't know you could take off the black camo, and then it really is just exactly the same ship. There's various reasons why the B happens. It's mostly for Black Friday, which is this whole thing. Anyway, not gonna get into that, I don't think, during this video. But anyway, point is, this is the exact same as the regular Mainz. So the Mainz has 12 HE guns, 150 millimeter HE and AP guns, in 4 turrets, and that is the star of the show. And I say all the time that any ship with good guns is a ship for me, and that is true of the Mainz. The reload is really good for the amount of firepower that you're looking at here. It's 6-second reload, and it feels nice and juicy. This is an up-tier game, and I'm still going to have some pretty good battle impact, which is a testament to the power of the Mainz. It's certainly not a perfect ship. It has a lot of flaws. It needs some teammate support. You pretty much have to hide behind islands and spam over them. And the key becomes knowing how to aim at distance and then knowing when not to hide behind the island anymore. So pretty soon here in a minute, we're going to notice that there's a Venom in the A cap right ahead of me. And it's tempting to just sit here and not do anything about it. But I make the executive decision, and I think it's the right play in this case, to load up my hydroacoustic search and just plow on out there. Now, I would not do this in many true light cruisers because one shot and I could literally get dev struck at tier 10. But in the Mainz, I feel comfortable doing it because there's just enough armor where I probably am not going to get completely deleted. Which is not to say that you can play with impunity. You absolutely can't. I think it's 25 millimeters in the bow and stern and close to 50,000 hit points, which is, yeah, not going to win any awards. But my point is, at least it's not just going to explode as soon as you look at it. The shells have good pen. They have reasonable velocity and arcs. They don't feel like a rainbow. They have really quite good range. 17.5 kilometers, which is excellent for a tier 8 cruiser. And yeah, because of that volume of fire and the reload, the DPM is really good. The HE DPM is excellent. And of course, I'm going to use HE on this Venom. I'm going to end up with like 7,000 damage on him. And the only reason it's not more is because I have other people helping me delete him. He was a little too excited about his smoke. You get a German hydroacoustic search. It goes out to 6 kilometers. Super helpful. You can see, I mean, I'm going to take some return fire and I'm going to take some damage, but it's just, it's still worth it. You don't get a heal. You do get a spotter plane. Or wait, no, that's a fighter. You get a fighter, right? You get a fighter. I was going to say I never used it. And I realized it's because it's not a spotting plane. I like the Mainz. I feel like there are more games than not where you can have good battle impact. It definitely, though, is one of those like HE spammers. Although, to be honest, the AP is really where it's at. So I guess you could call it an AP spammer. The HE alpha is only 1,700. The AP is 3,900. And reasonable pen means that when you have broadside targets, you really do want to switch back and forth. Fortunately, the reload is low, so switching back and forth is not a big deal, and you'll see me do it a number of times in this game. This is not going to be like an amazing game. For me personally, I mean, I'm not the star of the show. It is going to be a win. I'm going to get a kill. I'm going to get like 80,000 damage, so I'm going to have some good impact. But it's just a good showcase of the Mainz, so that's why I'm bringing it to you. The Mainz does have torpedoes. They're your classic cruiser defensive torpedoes. They go out to 6 kilometers. You really do not want to brawl in the Mainz in a tier 10 game, but I could see maybe at certain moments in a tier 6 or 7 game that you might get away with it. As always with ships like this, the key is mastering the art of hiding behind islands and shooting over them, and then also knowing when to stop doing that, knowing when to get out there and help your team and do some damage. This is a great cruiser for fulfilling what I think of as the cruiser role, which is being responsive to incoming targets and, for example, deleting low health targets from the map. I think that's a really important role for cruisers. It's pretty good at that because it has that enormous range, but it's a fairly usable range. You know, the dispersion is pretty good. The shell velocity is all right, so the arcs are not too insane. You know, I feel like you can actually hit things at range with this thing, as you see here. It's good that the dispersion's not bad because especially with the HE, I mean, as with all cruiser HE, you really need to hit certain parts of the enemy ships. I mean, of course, you know, that's partially because this is a tier 10 game, although this is a tier 9 ship I'm facing. But, you know, that was a nice solid 4 or 5K hit there from my AP. And, you know, if you're firing every 6 seconds, that's pretty darn good. I'm not going to get that much on each salvo, but, you know, still definitely cranking out the damage here in the right setting. I mean, that's the thing, right? You have to know how to play a ship like this, which is a good skill to have. I would say, especially for a tier 8 ship, this is definitely a winner. Like, big picture, if you want to know if you should pick up the Mainz, I think the answer is yes. It's worth it. It's one of the best ships at its tier for this playstyle. Like, if this is what you want, kind of a Smolensk light, except it's German, so it's got slightly less DPM, but also much better armor. And then it also has these defensive torpedoes, and it's tier 8. I'm going to start playing a little more aggressively here. I mean, again, that's part of the secret of ships like this is, you know, what does Kenny Rogers say? You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, right? You definitely can't play like this at the beginning of the game, but you also don't want to just hide behind the island the whole time. I mean, like this Zarya S, he's not even looking at me. He already shot at somebody else in the front. He's not even turning his guns. So yes, I'm spotted and I'm even broadside, but like he's not interested in me for his own personal reasons. Now, if he starts swinging his turrets over here, I'm going to have to start skedaddling, you know, getting the heck out of Dodge. But because I'm in this position, pushed up and completely flat broadside to him, you know, I can get in some pretty good damage. And then once he starts to angle over here, I'm going to switch to the HE. Never did get a chance to use the torpedoes in this game. I have a feeling they don't come up all that often, but still, it's super important to have them because, you know, for one thing, it just keeps people from rushing you. I mean, they're not going to rush you if they know that you have 6-kilometer torpedoes. Yeah, I mean, the Mainz is a classic, like, not in the sense that it's been in the game forever, but just in the sense of like, you know, this is not a gimmicky ship. There's nothing fancy going on here. There's no funny button. It's just some solid hull and some really solid guns with some good range. You don't have any way to hide. So, you know, you are doing a lot of HE spamming. You're also a little bit slow and a little bit clumsy. Not so bad that it hurts, you know, but definitely this is not a ship where you want to rely on your maneuverability to let you dodge shells in open water. Yeah, I'm open water gunboating now, but that's because I feel like this game is basically over. You know, all the enemies have multiple targets to shoot at. Still, with that said, I mean, if I had to straight up face this Hawaii one-on-one, that would not go well. And I'm going to take a lot of damage here. But it's okay, right? It's, you know, it's worth it at this point to just finish this game off and get my damage in. I mean, I got a completely broadside Hawaii. Unfortunately, the Hawaii is not a light cruiser, even though it has those amazing guns. That's one of the crazy things about the Hawaii is, you know, it's got these insane guns, but then it also has a really sturdy hull. So it's actually really hard for me to use my AP on him. This guy's just completely flat broadside, so I'm taking advantage. Nice little 3400 damage hit there. Another 2,000. That time was another 2,000, another 600. So yeah, I mean, you know, every 6 seconds, if you did 2,000 damage every 6 seconds, that would be 20,000 damage a minute. I mean, that's not bad. It's pretty good. Nice little 2,300 from that HE. Cranking out the damage. I probably would get this Zarya if the game lasted long enough, but it's going to end here in a minute. You can see we've got 1,000 points. So yeah, I mean, I like the Mainz. It's sturdy. It's got good guns. As long as you're careful with it, you know, you don't get too excited. You don't over push, but you also don't hide behind the islands. It's a good ship for learning that balance between playing passive and playing aggressive. So I think it's definitely a good pickup if you don't already have it. It fits well. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next video.